The funeral director handed me a tissue box like it was a peace offering. I didn't take it. I'd already cried myself dry 3 months ago when Dad actually died, alone in his hospital bed while I was grabbing coffee from the vending machine down the hall. Today was just theater. My name is Haley, and I'm 34 years old. I spent the last year of my father's life driving 2 hours every weekend to feed him soup and listen to his stories about building houses with his bare hands. My brother Rhett spent that same year posting Instagram photos from Berlin cafes, captioned with deep thoughts about finding his authentic self. Haley, sweetheart, come sit with the family. Mom's voice cut through the funeral home chatter. She was holding court near the casket, accepting condolences like a gracious hostess. Her black dress was new. I could tell by the way she kept smoothing it down. She'd gone shopping for Dad's funeral. I walked over, weaving between neighbors and Dad's old construction buddies. Mrs. Patterson from next door grabbed my arm. Your father was so proud of you, honey, always talking about how you took such good care of him. Thank you, I managed. And Rhett looks wonderful. Europe agreed with him. I followed her gaze to my brother, who was indeed glowing with that expensive European tan. He'd flown in yesterday, just in time for the service. His wife Yasmin stood beside him, all flowing scarves and crystal jewelry, nodding sympathetically at mourners while somehow making it clear she'd rather be anywhere else. Haley. Rhett pulled me into a hug that smelled like expensive cologne. God, I'm so sorry I couldn't be here sooner. The flights were impossible and Yasmin had that retreat in Portugal. It's fine, I stepped back. Dad understood. That was a lie. Dad had asked about Rhett every single day for 3 months. Maybe he'll call today, he'd say, staring at his phone. He never did. The reception was held at Mom's house. Well, technically Dad's house, but she'd been calling it hers since the divorce papers were signed 15 years ago. They'd reconciled eventually, but the house stayed in his name. Something about taxes, Dad had explained once. I found myself in the kitchen washing dishes that didn't need washing when Mom appeared beside me. We need to talk about the house. I kept scrubbing the same plate. What about it? I'm selling it. The plate slipped from my hands, clattering into the sink. What? The market's incredible right now. Johnson Real Estate says we could get close to $1 million. She said it like she was discussing the weather. It'll be enough to get Rhett properly started. He and Yasmin want to buy something here, start a family. $1 million. I turned off the water. And what about me? Mom's laugh was sharp. Honey, you're 34 and single. You don't need a house this size. Besides, you live in the city now. I lived in the city because someone had to work while I drove here every weekend to take care of Dad. Don't be dramatic. She opened the refrigerator, pulling out a bottle of white wine like this conversation was over. Rhett has responsibilities now. A wife. They want children. And I'm what, chopped liver? You're independent. You always have been. She poured herself a glass. You'll thank me someday. I stared at her. This woman who'd given birth to me, who'd packed my school lunches and taught me to drive, who'd somehow convinced herself that loving one child more than the other was just practical parenting. When? My voice came out smaller than I intended. The listing goes up Monday. We should close within the month. We? I'm handling everything. Rhett's been through enough stress with the wedding and the move back from Europe. He doesn't need to worry about paperwork. Of course, God forbid Rhett should be inconvenienced by his father's death. I left without saying goodbye. Let them think I was being dramatic. Let them whisper about how I couldn't handle the family discussion like an adult. I drove back to the city with my hands shaking on the steering wheel, Dad's voice echoing in my head from all those weekend visits. Your mother means well, but she's got blind spots, he'd said once, after she'd forgotten my birthday but remembered to send Rhett money for his art photography phase. Some people love loud, some people love quiet. Doesn't mean the quiet love matters less. I didn't go back to the house until the next weekend, when I knew Mom would be at her book club. I had a key. Dad had insisted I keep one, even after I moved out. This is your home too, kiddo. The house felt different, empty, not just because Dad was gone, but because it was already being erased. Mom had started packing his things, boxing up 40 years of marriage like it was a garage sale. I went up to the attic, looking for something. I wasn't sure what. Maybe just proof that I'd existed here, that I'd mattered to someone in this family. That's when I found the envelope. It was tucked behind Dad's old toolbox, sealed and marked with my name in his careful handwriting. Inside was a single document, notarized and official, a deed, with both our names on it. Dad had made me co-owner of the house 6 months before he died. I stared at that deed for 20 minutes, sitting cross-legged on the dusty attic floor like I was 8 years old again, hiding from another family dinner where Rhett got praised for breathing while I got lectured about my attitude. The memories hit me in waves. Rhett getting piano lessons while I got told we couldn't afford violin. Rhett getting the new bike while I got his hand-me-down with the wobbly wheel. Mom driving 3 hours to watch his high school graduation while missing mine because she had a migraine. Haley's just more independent, she'd tell relatives. She doesn't need as much attention. What she meant was, Haley doesn't matter as much. I drove back to the city clutching that deed like a life preserver. My apartment felt smaller than usual, cramped with all the furniture I'd inherited from Dad, the pieces Mom didn't want because they weren't her style. His reading chair, his coffee table with the ring stains from years of morning newspapers, the bookshelf he'd built himself, perfectly level despite the apartment's crooked walls. I called Aurora first. "Holy shit," she said after I explained everything. "Your dad was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. I don't know what to do with this." "What do you mean? You own half that house. She can't sell it without your signature." "But she already—" I stopped. "Aurora, what if she already sold it? Then we have a problem. But first, call your mom. See what's actually happening." I hung up and immediately called Mom. It went to voicemail twice before she finally picked up. "Haley, I'm at yoga. I need to talk to you about the house. We already discussed this. The realtor is coming tomorrow for photos." My heart hammered. "Mom, I need you to listen to me very carefully. You can't sell that house." "Don't be ridiculous." "Of course I can. It's my house." "Actually, it's not. Not entirely." Silence. Then, "What are you talking about?" "Dad made me co-owner. I have the deed." The silence stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. "That's impossible." "I'm looking at it right now. Notarized 6 months ago." "Your father was sick, Haley. He wasn't thinking clearly. He was thinking clearly enough to have it properly notarized and witnessed. This is just you being spiteful because you're upset about the funeral arrangements." "The funeral arrangements?" "You know what I mean. You've always been jealous of Rhett." There it was. The nuclear option she always pulled when she couldn't win an argument. Make it about my character flaws. "Mom, this isn't about jealousy. This is about legal ownership." I'm hanging up now. "We'll discuss this when you're being rational." The line went dead. I called back immediately. Voicemail. 3 more times. Voicemail. I texted, "We need to talk. This is serious." No response. I paced my apartment for an hour, then called Aurora back. She hung up on me. Of course she did. She's probably freaking out right now. What if she goes ahead with the sale anyway? What if she forges my signature or something? Then she commits fraud. "Haley, you need a lawyer." "I can't afford a lawyer." "You can't afford not to have one. Your dad left you $500,000 house. That's lawyer money." The next morning, I took a sick day and drove back to town. I needed to see Mom face to face, needed to make her understand this wasn't going away. I found her in the garden, aggressively deadheading roses like they'd personally offended her. "We need to talk." She didn't look up. I spoke to Rhett. "He says you're having some kind of breakdown." "I'm not having a breakdown. I'm trying to protect my inheritance." "Your inheritance?" She finally looked at me, and her expression was pure venom. You think you deserve an inheritance? I think I deserve what Dad legally left me. You got plenty from your father. You got his attention, his time, his precious weekend visits. Rhett got nothing. Rhett got everything. Piano lessons, college tuition, the down payment on his first apartment. Rhett has a wife now. He has responsibilities. And I don't? You don't have children, Haley. You don't have a husband. What do you need a big house for? The casual cruelty of it took my breath away. Like being single at 34 made me less human, less deserving of love or security or a place to belong. Maybe I want children someday. With who? You haven't dated anyone seriously since Ronald, and that was 3 years ago. Ronald. Rhett's old friend who'd ghosted me after 6 months of what I'd thought was something real. Another reminder of how I'd always come second to my brother, even in my own relationships. This isn't about my dating life. This is about Dad's wishes. Your father was sick. He wasn't thinking straight. He was thinking straight enough to hide it from you. Mom's face went white. What did you say? He hid it from you, Mom. For 6 months, he knew exactly what he was doing. She dropped her gardening shears. For the first time in my life, I'd rendered my mother speechless. You'll thank me someday, she whispered, but her voice shook. When you're older, when you understand family, you'll thank me for looking out for Rhett. I turned and walked away, leaving her standing there among her perfect roses. Time to find that lawyer. Joshua's office smelled like leather and confidence. He was younger than I'd expected, maybe 40, with the kind of sharp suit that said he won more cases than he lost. This is interesting. He held Dad's deed up to the light, examining the notary seal. Very interesting. Can she sell without my signature? Absolutely not. Any sale would be void. He set the document down carefully. The question is whether she's already tried. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? I'm going to make some calls. Check the county records. See if any paperwork's been filed. He leaned back in his chair. In the meantime, I'm filing an emergency injunction. If she tries to close on anything, we'll stop it cold. How much is this going to cost me? We'll work something out. This is the kind of case I enjoy. His smile was predatory. Your mother picked the wrong daughter to mess with. I left his office feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Powerful. That feeling lasted exactly 2 hours. I was driving past the old neighborhood when I saw the sign. Not a for sale sign, those I'd expected. This was a sold sign with a bright red banner across it. I pulled over so fast I nearly hit the mailbox. The house looked different already. Someone had trimmed the hedges Dad always kept a little wild, and there were paint samples taped to the front door. A BMW sat in the driveway, not Mom's car. I called Joshua immediately. They can't have closed yet, he said. I just filed the injunction an hour ago. Then whose car is that? I'm coming over, don't do anything stupid. But I was already walking up the driveway. The front door opened before I could knock. Haley? Ronald stood there holding a clipboard, looking like he'd seen a ghost. My ex-boyfriend, Rhett's old college buddy, the guy who'd taken me to dinner 12 times before deciding I wasn't worth the effort. What are you doing here? He glanced back into the house. I'm the listing agent. You're what? Your mom called me last week. Said she needed someone she could trust to handle the sale quickly and quietly. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. You knew! You knew she was selling Dad's house and you didn't tell me. Haley, I thought you knew. I thought the family had discussed. Bullshit! I pushed past him into the house. Where is she? She's not here. But Rhett and Yasmin are upstairs looking at the master bedroom. Of course they were. Already planning their new life in the house where I'd fed Dad soup and listened to him worry about dying alone. Ronald, we need to talk. I grabbed his arm. This sale is illegal. What are you talking about? I own half this house. Dad made me co-owner 6 months ago. His face went pale. That's impossible. I have the deed. Haley, if that were true, your mother would have told me. I can't sell a property without all owners signing. Then how did you sell it? He looked away. The paperwork showed your mother as sole owner. What paperwork? The original deed, from when your parents bought the house. Show me. He fumbled with his clipboard, pulling out a folder. Inside was a copy of the deed, but not the one I'd found in the attic. This one was older, yellowed, and it only had my parents' names on it. Ronald, this is from 1987. My dad updated it 6 months ago. I never saw any updated deed. Because Mom didn't tell you about it. Footsteps on the stairs interrupted us. Rhett appeared first, followed by Yasmin, who was holding fabric samples against the wall. Haley? Rhett looked genuinely surprised. What are you doing here? I could ask you the same thing. We're just looking at paint colors. Mom said we could start planning. You can't live here. What? This house isn't for sale. The sale is illegal. Rhett looked at Ronald, who was studying his shoes like they held the secrets of the universe. Ronald, what is she talking about? There might be a complication with the deed. What kind of complication? I pulled out my phone and showed them the photo I'd taken of Dad's deed. The kind where I own half this house. Yasmin dropped her fabric samples. That's not possible. It's very possible. Dad made me co-owner before he died. Dad was sick, Rhett said. He wasn't thinking clearly. He was thinking clearly enough to have it properly notarized and witnessed. This is ridiculous. Rhett turned to Ronald. Tell her this is ridiculous. Ronald cleared his throat. If Haley has a valid deed showing co-ownership, then yes, the sale would be invalid. But we already put money down, Yasmin said. We gave your mother $50,000 as a deposit. The room went silent. You what? I stared at her. Your mother said she needed earnest money to hold the house off the market while we arranged financing. $50,000. It's our entire savings, Rhett said quietly. I looked around the room, at Ronald avoiding eye contact, at Rhett's stricken face, at Yasmin clutching her fabric samples like they could save her. Where's Mom now? She went to the bank, Ronald said, to deposit the check. My phone buzzed. Joshua. I'm outside. We need to talk. I walked to the window and saw his car pulling up behind mine. He got out carrying a briefcase and wearing the expression of a man who'd just discovered something very interesting. Ronald, I said without turning around, I think you're about to have a very bad day. Joshua walked through the front door like he owned the place, which, technically, I guess I half did. Ms. Fletcher. He nodded at me, then surveyed the room. Gentlemen, ma'am. His eyes landed on Ronald. You must be the realtor. Ronald Boyd. Ronald extended his hand, but Joshua ignored it. The realtor who facilitated an illegal property sale. Now wait just a minute. No, you wait. Joshua opened his briefcase and pulled out a thick folder. I've spent the last 2 hours at the county recorder's office. Very enlightening. Rhett stepped forward. Who are you exactly? Joshua Mitchell, your sister's attorney. Haley doesn't need an attorney. This is a family matter. Your sister owns half this house. That makes it a legal matter. Joshua spread several documents across Dad's old coffee table. Here's the original deed from 1987. Here's the updated deed from 6 months ago, properly filed and recorded. And here, he held up another paper. Here's the fraudulent deed your mother submitted to initiate this sale. Fraudulent? Yasmin's voice cracked. The deed she provided to Mr. Boyd here conveniently omits the 2023 amendment making Haley co-owner. That's fraud. Ronald's face had gone gray. I had no idea. Mrs. Fletcher provided all the documentation. Did you verify it with the county? No. She was the homeowner. I trusted. You trusted wrong. Joshua's smile was razor sharp. "How much earnest money did you collect?" 50,000, Yasmin whispered. "From your clients here?" "Yes." "And where is that money now?" Ronald fumbled with his phone. "Mrs. Fletcher said she was depositing it this morning." "Into her personal account, I assume." "I don't know." "She handles her own finances." Joshua turned to Rhett. "Your mother just stole $50,000 from you." "She didn't steal it," Rhett said, but his voice lacked conviction. "She's holding it until closing." "There won't be a closing. This sale is void." The front door slammed open. Mom walked in carrying a bank envelope, looking pleased with herself until she saw Joshua. "Who are you?" "Your daughter's attorney." Mom's eyes darted to me, then to the papers spread across the coffee table. "Haley, what have you done?" "What I should have done a week ago." "Mrs. Fletcher," Joshua said, "I need to inform you that you're currently in violation of several state laws regarding property fraud." "I haven't committed any fraud. This is my house." "Half your house. The other half belongs to your daughter." "That deed is invalid. Vince was sick when he signed it." "The notary and witnesses disagree, as does the county recorder who accepted and filed it 6 months ago." Mom clutched the bank envelope tighter. "This is ridiculous. Haley, tell them this is ridiculous." "Actually, Mom, tell me about that envelope." "What envelope?" "The one you're holding. The one that probably contains a deposit slip for $50,000 that doesn't belong to you." "This money is for the house sale." "What house sale?" Joshua interrupted. "The one that can't legally proceed without Haley's signature?" Mom looked around the room like a trapped animal. "Rhett, tell them. Tell them this is your house now." "Mom." Rhett's voice was barely audible. "Did you know about Haley's deed?" "Your father was confused." "Did you know?" The silence stretched until it became unbearable. "Yes," she whispered. "I knew." Yasmin made a sound like she'd been punched. "You knew the sale was illegal?" "I knew Vince had some foolish notion about leaving the house to both children, but Haley doesn't need it." "That's not your decision to make," I said. "I'm your mother. Everything I do is for this family." "No, everything you do is for Rhett. There's a difference." Joshua cleared his throat. "Mrs. Fletcher, I need that envelope. I'm not giving you anything. Then I'll call the police. Theft of $50,000 is a felony." "It's not theft. It's earnest money for a house sale. A house sale that you knew was fraudulent when you accepted the money." Mom's hands shook as she held the envelope. "Rhett needs this money. He and Yasmin want to start a family." "With stolen money?" "It's not stolen. It's an advance on his inheritance. His inheritance from a house he doesn't inherit." Rhett stepped toward Mom. "Give them the envelope." "Rhett, give it to them. Now." Mom's face crumpled. She handed the envelope to Joshua like she was surrendering her firstborn. Joshua opened it and examined the contents. "Deposit slip for $50,000 into Elise Fletcher's personal checking account. Deposited this morning at 10:47 a.m. "I can transfer it back," Mom said quickly. "This was all a misunderstanding." "No," Joshua said. "This was fraud, and theft, and conspiracy to commit real estate fraud." "What happens now?" Yasmin asked. "Now we fix this. Mrs. Fletcher returns the money to Mr. and Mrs. He looked at Rhett and Yasmin. "We're not married yet," Yasmin said quietly. "The wedding is next month." The room fell silent again. "Well," Joshua said, "that's another conversation entirely. But first, Mrs. Fletcher, you're going to call your bank and reverse that deposit. Then you're going to sign an affidavit acknowledging Haley's co-ownership. Then you're going to pray she doesn't press charges." Mom looked at me with something I'd never seen before. Fear. "Haley, please, we're family." "No, Mom. Rhett is family. I'm just the help." Joshua packed up his papers. "I'll be in touch about next steps. And Mrs. Fletcher, don't leave town." He walked out, leaving us all standing in the wreckage of what used to be our family. The silence after Joshua left was deafening. Mom sat down heavily in Dad's old recliner, still clutching her purse like someone might steal it. Ronald kept checking his phone like it might magically produce a solution. Rhett and Yasmin stood by the window, whispering urgently. "This is insane," Rhett finally said. "Haley, you can't seriously want to live in this house." "Why not?" "Because you live in the city, you have a job, an apartment. I can work remotely. I can sell the apartment." "But why would you want to? This place is full of memories." "Good memories. Of Dad." Mom looked up sharply. "Your father spoiled you, filled your head with ideas about being special. He made me feel like I mattered. Apparently that was spoiling." "You always mattered." "No, I didn't. I was the backup child, the one you kept around in case something happened to Rhett." "That's not true." "Really? When's my birthday, Mom?" "Don't be ridiculous." "When is it?" "October 15th. "October 23rd. You missed it by 8 days." Yasmin turned from the window. "This is getting us nowhere. We need to figure out what happens next." "What happens next," I said, "is you get your money back and find somewhere else to live." "We can't just find somewhere else. We gave up our apartment in Portland, our jobs, everything." "That's not my problem." "Haley," Rhett said, "be reasonable. We can work something out. Maybe we could all live here together." I laughed, actually laughed. "You want to live with me? After 34 years of treating me like I'm invisible?" "I never treated you like you were invisible. You forgot my college graduation. I was in Europe. You forgot my 30th birthday. I was in therapy. You forgot Dad's birthday last year, while he was dying." Rhett's face flushed. "I was dealing with my own stuff." "Your own stuff, right." I looked around the room. "You know what Dad told me the last time I saw him? He said he was proud of me for taking care of myself, because no one else in this family ever would." "He didn't say that," Mom snapped. "He did. He also said he wished he'd stood up to you years ago, wished he'd protected me from your favoritism." "I never played favorites." "You bought Rhett a car for his 16th birthday. You know what I got? A lecture about being grateful for what I had." "We couldn't afford 2 cars." "But you could afford to send him to Europe for 6 months to find himself." Ronald cleared his throat. "Maybe I should go. This seems like a family discussion." "You're not going anywhere," I said. "You're part of this mess." "I was just doing my job." "Your job was to verify ownership before listing a property. You didn't do that." "Your mother provided documentation." "Fraudulent documentation, which makes you either incompetent or complicit." His phone buzzed. He looked at it and went pale. "What is it?" Rhett asked. "My broker. Someone reported the fraudulent listing to the state licensing board." Everyone looked at me. "Don't look at me. I didn't report anything." "Yet," Mom said bitterly. "Yet," I agreed. Yasmin sat down on the couch, her head in her hands. "This is a nightmare. We're supposed to get married in 3 weeks." "So get married," I said. "Just not in my house." "It's not your house. It's half your house. Which means I can veto any sale. Which means you're not buying it." "What do you want?" Rhett asked. "Money. We can pay you for your half." "With what? You just lost your life savings." "We'll get a loan." "Based on what income?" "You don't have jobs." "We'll figure it out. Like you figured out how to take care of Dad while you were finding yourself in Berlin. That's not fair." "Fair?" I stood up. "You want to talk about fair? Fair would have been you coming home when Dad got sick. Fair would have been you helping with his medical bills instead of posting Instagram photos from art museums. Fair would have been Mom acknowledging that I exist." "We acknowledge you exist," Mom said weakly. "No, you acknowledge that I'm useful. There's a difference." My phone buzzed. A text from Aurora. "How did it go with the lawyer?" I typed back, "Nuclear. Call you later." "Who's that?" Mom asked. "Someone who actually cares about me." We care about you. You care about what I can do for you. When Dad was sick, you cared that I could drive down every weekend. When he died, you cared that I could handle the funeral arrangements while Rhett recovered from his emotional journey. Now you care that I'm inconveniently half owner of a house you wanted to steal. I wasn't stealing anything. What would you call taking something that doesn't belong to you? I was protecting this family's future. You were protecting Rhett's future, like always. Yasmin looked up from the couch. Can I ask you something? Sure. What would it take for you to sell us your half? Nothing you can afford. Try me. I looked around the room, at the walls Dad had painted, the floors he'd refinished, the built-in shelves he'd crafted by hand. At the kitchen where he'd taught me to make pancakes, at the living room where we'd watched old movies together during his chemo treatments. This house is worth $1 million, right? So my half is worth $500,000. We can get a loan, plus damages for the fraud, plus my legal fees, plus compensation for emotional distress. How much? $750,000. Yasmin's face went white. That's impossible. Then I guess we're not selling. Haley, Rhett said, please, we'll lose everything. You already lost everything. You just haven't figured it out yet. I walked toward the door, then stopped. Oh, and Mom? Dad left something else for me. Something you don't know about. What? I'll let you wonder. I left them sitting there in the ruins of their perfect plan, and for the first time in my adult life, I felt like I was exactly where I belonged. I drove straight to Aurora's apartment, my hands still shaking from the confrontation. She took one look at my face and poured 2 glasses of wine without asking. Tell me everything. I did. The whole mess, Ronald's involvement, the $50,000, Mom's complete lack of remorse. Aurora listened without interrupting, her expression growing darker with each detail. Your mother stole from her own son, and blamed me for stopping her. What did you mean about Dad leaving you something else? I have no idea. I just wanted to mess with her head. Aurora laughed despite herself. You're getting scary good at this revenge thing. It doesn't feel like revenge. It feels like survival. My phone rang. Rhett's name flashed on the screen. Don't answer it, Aurora said. I should... No, let him sweat. The call went to voicemail. Then another call. Then 3 texts in rapid succession. Haley, we need to talk. Please call me back. Mom is having a panic attack. Oh, now she has panic attacks, Aurora said, reading over my shoulder. Where were her panic attacks when you were taking care of your dying father? My phone rang again. This time it was Joshua. We have a problem, he said without preamble. What kind of problem? Your brother and his fiancée just filed a lawsuit challenging your father's deed. They're claiming he was mentally incompetent when he signed it. I sat down hard. Can they do that? They can try. Do you have any evidence of your father's mental state around the time he signed the deed? He was sharp as a tack. We talked every weekend. He was handling his own finances, making medical decisions. Can you prove it? I don't know. Maybe. He kept journals. Where? In his workshop, in the basement. Get them, tonight, before your family thinks to look for them. I hung up and grabbed my keys. Where are you going? Aurora asked. Back to the house. I need Dad's journals. I'm coming with you. You don't have to. Yes, I do. You're not facing those people alone again. We drove back in Aurora's car, taking the back roads to avoid being seen. The house was dark except for the porch light. Mom's car was gone, but Rhett's rental was still in the driveway. They're probably at a hotel, I said. Yasmin looked like she was about to have a breakdown. We used my key to get in through the back door. The house felt different, violated somehow, like strangers had been going through our things, which I guess they had. The basement workshop was exactly as Dad had left it. Tools hung in perfect order on pegboard walls. His workbench was clean, except for a half-finished birdhouse and a coffee mug with "World's Best Dad" printed on the side. I found the journals in his desk drawer, 5 years' worth of daily entries in his careful handwriting. I grabbed all of them, plus a box of letters I'd never seen before. "Haley." Aurora's voice was strange. "You need to see this." She was standing by Dad's filing cabinet holding a manila folder. "What is it?" "Medical records, from his doctor visits." I took the folder and flipped through it. Cognitive assessments, mental status exams, all dated within the last year of his life. All showing normal results. He was getting tested? Look at the dates. One from 2 weeks before he signed your deed. Perfect cognitive function. He knew they'd challenge it. At the bottom of the folder was a letter addressed to me, sealed but never mailed. Should I open it? Aurora nodded. Inside was a single sheet of paper in Dad's handwriting. "Haley, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone, and your mother has tried to cut you out of your inheritance. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you from her favoritism while I was alive, but I can protect you now. The deed is legal and valid. I had Dr. Martinez test my mental capacity specifically for this purpose. The results are in this folder. I also recorded a video explaining my decision. It's on the computer in my workshop. Password is your birthday, October 23. I love you, kiddo. You deserved better from all of us. Dad." I started crying before I finished reading. "Oh, honey." Aurora put her arm around me. He knew exactly what would happen. We found Dad's old laptop buried under woodworking magazines. It took 3 tries to get the password right. I kept typing October 15, Mom's wrong version of my birthday. The video file was labeled "For Haley." Dad appeared on screen, sitting in his workshop chair. He looked tired but alert, wearing the flannel shirt I'd bought him for Christmas. "Hi, kiddo. If you're watching this, things have gone exactly as I expected they would. Your mother has tried to sell the house and give everything to Rhett, and you're fighting back. Good for you." He paused, looking directly into the camera. "I want you to know that making you co-owner wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. I've been planning it for months. I've watched your mother favor your brother your entire life, and I've watched you handle it with more grace than she deserved. You took care of me when I was dying. You showed up every weekend, even when it cost you job opportunities and relationships. You never asked for anything in return." His voice got stronger. "Rhett is a good kid, but he's never had to work for anything. Your mother made sure of that. You, on the other hand, have earned everything you've gotten. This house is yours as much as it's his. More, actually, because you're the one who made it a home." The video ended with him looking tired again. "I love you, Haley. Don't let them convince you that you don't deserve this. You deserve everything." Aurora was crying too now. "Your dad was a good man." "Yeah, he was." My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is Yasmin. We need to talk. Alone. There are things about this situation you don't know." I showed Aurora the message. That sounds ominous. Or like someone's about to throw Rhett under the bus to save herself. "Are you going to meet with her?" I looked around Dad's workshop one more time, at the tools he'd used to build our house, at the chair where he'd recorded his final message to me. "Yeah, I think I am." I met Yasmin at a coffee shop downtown, far enough from the house that we wouldn't run into Mom or Rhett. She looked like she hadn't slept, her usual crystal jewelry replaced with a simple wedding band on her ring finger. "You're already married?" She twisted the ring nervously. "Last week. City Hall. We thought it would help with the house purchase if we were legally married." "How's that working out for you?" "Haley, I need to tell you something. About Rhett, about this whole situation." I sipped my coffee and waited. "He knew about your father's deed." The words hit me like ice water. "What?" "He's known for months. Your mother told him right after the funeral." "That's impossible. He seemed genuinely shocked yesterday." "He's a good actor when he needs to be." Yasmin's voice was bitter. "The whole thing was his idea. The rushed sale, using Ronald, even taking our savings to make it look legitimate. Why are you telling me this? Because I just found out he's been lying to me too. She pulled out her phone and showed me a text thread. Read this. The messages were between Rhett and someone named Marcus. Did you transfer the money? Done. $30K to the Cayman account like you asked. Perfect. Y doesn't know about the offshore stuff, right? Your secret's safe. When do you want to move the rest? After we get the house sold. Should be another $400K minimum. I looked up at Yasmin. He's been hiding money from you? Apparently for months. I found the account statements this morning while he was in the shower. Her hand shook as she put the phone away. We're supposed to get married in 2 weeks, and I just discovered my fiancé is a fraud. You already are married. That was just paperwork. The real wedding was supposed to be next Saturday. 300 guests. My whole family flying in from California. What are you going to do? I don't know, but first, I want to help you destroy him. I studied her face. Why should I trust you? Yesterday you were planning to live in my house. Yesterday I thought I was marrying someone honest. Someone who loved me enough not to steal from his own sister. He didn't steal from me. Mom did. With his full knowledge and encouragement. Haley, he's been planning this since your father got sick. He told me your dad was senile, that any deed he signed was meaningless. Dad wasn't senile. I know that now, but Rhett convinced me he was. Convinced me you were just being difficult about accepting reality. My phone buzzed. Joshua. The hearing is set for tomorrow morning. Judge Martinez, 9 a.m. Are you ready? More ready than they think. Good. Bring everything. The journals, the medical records, the video. I hung up and looked at Yasmin. The court hearing is tomorrow. If you really want to help, I need you to testify. About what? About Rhett knowing the deed was valid. About him planning this fraud. He'll never forgive me. Do you want his forgiveness? She was quiet for a long moment. No. I want him to face consequences for once in his life. Then you'll testify? Yes. But there's something else you should know. What now? Ronald didn't just accidentally use the wrong deed. Rhett paid him to ignore your ownership. How much? $20,000. Cash. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. You have proof. I have the bank withdrawal slip. Rhett took it out of our joint account last week. Told me it was for wedding expenses. Jesus. There's more. Your mother didn't just deposit our $50,000. She transferred 40 of it to Rhett immediately. Where's the other 10? Legal fees, she called it, but I think she kept it. I called Joshua back. We have a problem, and an opportunity. I'm listening. Rhett knew about the deed all along, and he bribed Ronald to ignore it. Can you prove it? His wife can. Bring her to court tomorrow. This just became a criminal case. The next morning, the courthouse was packed. Mom sat in the front row wearing her best dress, looking like she was attending church instead of a fraud hearing. Rhett sat beside her in a suit I'd never seen before, probably bought with my inheritance money. Joshua had warned me that Rhett's lawyer would try to paint Dad as mentally incompetent and me as a manipulative daughter taking advantage of a sick man. What he hadn't warned me about was how much it would hurt to hear my own family lie about me under oath. My father was confused in his final months, Rhett testified. He often forgot conversations, repeated stories. My sister took advantage of his condition to secure financial gain. Did you ever witness your father signing this deed? Rhett's lawyer asked. No, and neither did anyone else in the family. It was done in secret, which should tell you something about its legitimacy. When it was my turn, I played Dad's video for the entire courtroom. Watching him speak directly to the camera, clearly explaining his reasoning, his mental state, his love for me, it was devastating. Mom started crying halfway through. Rhett stared at his hands. Your Honor, Joshua said after the video ended, the defense claims Mr. Fletcher was mentally incompetent. This video, recorded the same day he signed the deed, clearly shows otherwise. We also have medical records confirming his cognitive function. Furthermore, he continued, we have evidence that this entire situation was a premeditated fraud. He called Yasmin to the stand. She testified about Rhett's prior knowledge, the bribery, the hidden money. With each revelation, I watched my brother shrink smaller in his chair. Mr. Fletcher, the judge said finally, did you know about your sister's co-ownership when you attempted to purchase this property? Rhett's lawyer whispered something to him. I invoke my Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. The courtroom erupted. Mom gasped. Ronald, who'd been sitting in the back, got up and walked out. Your Honor, Joshua said, the defendants have committed fraud, bribery, and theft. We request immediate restitution and criminal referral. Judge Martinez banged his gavel. The deed is valid. The sale is void. All parties will return any money obtained through this fraudulent transaction. Mr. Fletcher, you and your mother will remain in this jurisdiction pending criminal investigation. I sat there as the courtroom emptied, watching my family's lies crumble around them. For the first time in my life, the truth had won. The locksmith finished installing the new deadbolt and handed me 3 keys. You want me to change the back door too? Everything. Windows, garage, the works. He nodded and got back to work. I sat on the front porch steps, watching him work on what was now officially my house. The court had ruled that since Rhett couldn't pay restitution for the fraud, his half-ownership reverted to me as compensation. My phone had been buzzing all morning. Reporters wanting to interview me about the inheritance fraud case. Neighbors asking if I was really moving back. Aurora texting updates about Mom's arrest for wire fraud. Apparently transferring stolen money across state lines was a federal crime. The one call I answered was from Yasmin. The annulment went through, she said. Turns out marrying someone under false pretenses makes the whole thing void. How are you holding up? Better than expected. My parents are flying out to help me pack. We're driving back to California tomorrow. What about the wedding? Canceled, lost the deposits, but honestly, best money I ever spent. A car pulled up across the street. Mom got out, moving slowly like she'd aged 10 years in the past week. She'd made bail but couldn't leave town pending trial. She stood at the edge of my property line, not crossing onto the lawn. I have to go, I told Yasmin. Good luck. I hung up and walked to the property line. Mom looked smaller somehow, diminished. The locks are changed, I said. I figured. She held up a key. This doesn't work anymore. No, it doesn't. Can we talk? We're talking. Inside? No. She looked at the house like she was seeing it for the first time. Your father built those front steps himself. Took him 3 weekends because he kept redoing them until they were perfect. I remember. He was so proud of this place. Said it was the first thing he'd ever owned that nobody could take away from him. Except you tried to. I thought I was doing the right thing. For Rhett. For the family. I wasn't family, remember? I was just the help. Mom's face crumpled. That's not true. Then why did you do it? She was quiet for so long I thought she wouldn't answer. Because you never needed me, she said finally. From the time you were little you were so independent, so capable. Rhett always needed help, needed guidance, needed saving from his own mistakes. You just handled things. So you decided I didn't deserve love. I decided you didn't need it the same way he did. Everyone needs love, Mom. I know that now. Another car pulled up. Rhett got out, looking like he hadn't slept in days. He walked over to us but stayed on the sidewalk. The prosecutor wants to make a deal, he said without preamble. What kind of deal? Full restitution, community service, probation. No jail time if I plead guilty. And? I wanted to ask... He stopped, started again. I wanted to ask if you'd write a letter to the judge, character witness or whatever. I stared at him. You want me to vouch for your character? I know how it sounds. It sounds insane. Haley, please. I made mistakes, but I'm still your brother. Are you? Because brothers don't steal from their sisters. Brothers don't lie in court. Brothers don't disappear for months while their fathers are dying. I was scared. Of what? Of watching him die. Of dealing with Mom's grief. Of being responsible for anything real. So you left me to handle it alone? Yes. And I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't give me back the year I spent driving here every weekend while you posted vacation photos. I know. Sorry doesn't give me back the relationship I lost because I was too busy taking care of Dad to maintain it. What relationship? It doesn't matter now. But it did matter. Ronald had been more than just Rhett's friend and my ex-boyfriend. He'd been the one person I'd thought understood me, supported me. Finding out he'd been working against me all along hurt worse than anything my family had done. I can't write that letter, I said. Rhett nodded like he'd expected it. I understand. Do you? Because I don't think you understand anything. You've never had to face real consequences for anything in your life. I'm facing them now. Only because you got caught. Mom stepped forward. Haley, he's learned his lesson. Have you learned yours? She looked confused. What do you mean? Have you learned that having 2 children means loving 2 children? Or are you still going to spend the rest of your life making excuses for him? I love you both. No, you don't. You love the idea of me, the dutiful daughter who takes care of things so you don't have to. But you don't love me. That's not true. When's my birthday? She opened her mouth, then closed it. It's October 23rd. I'm 34 years old. I like horror movies and hate mushrooms. I wanted to be a veterinarian when I was 8, but you said it was too expensive. I broke my arm falling off my bike when I was 12, and you were annoyed that it interfered with Rhett's piano recital. Haley, I spent every weekend for a year watching Dad die, and you never once asked how I was handling it. You never thanked me. You never even acknowledged that I was sacrificing my own life to take care of him. I thought you wanted to. I did want to, because I loved him. But I also wanted my mother to notice that I was drowning. The locksmith called from the porch. All finished, ma'am. I walked back to the house and paid him. When I turned around, Mom and Rhett were still standing on the sidewalk. You can go now, I said. Haley, Mom called. What happens to us? To our family? There is no us. There never was. I went inside and closed the door. Through the window, I watched them stand there for another few minutes before getting in their cars and driving away. My phone rang. Aurora. How did it go? It went. Are you okay? I'm free. Want company? I can bring Chinese food and terrible movies. That sounds perfect. I hung up and walked through the house. My house, room by room. In Dad's workshop, I found the half-finished birdhouse still sitting on his workbench. I picked up his tools and got back to work on it. When Aurora arrived an hour later, she found me in the backyard, hanging the completed birdhouse from the oak tree Dad had planted when I was born. It's beautiful, she said. Dad would have liked it. He would have been proud of you. I know. We sat on the back steps, eating lo mein straight from the containers and watching the sun set behind the trees. Any regrets? Aurora asked. I thought about it. About the family I'd lost, the relationships that were broken beyond repair, the years of hurt that couldn't be undone. No, I said finally. I didn't win to hurt them. I won to finally matter. And if that cost me a family like that, good riddance.